Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're looking at one of the absolute most critical, yet honestly frequently overlooked safeguards in software engineering, the art of graceful system shutdown. Look, if you're building backend systems, you already know that getting your application to start up and run smoothly is only half the battle. The real mark of a resilient, mature system is how it behaves when it's time to stop. We're going to unpack exactly how a service stops without dropping work in progress and why treating shutdown as a carefully orchestrated lifecycle event is practically non-negotiable for modern, sleep-friendly architecture.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here's a quick look at our agenda for today. First, we'll cover the cost of abrupt shutdown. Then, we'll look at a restaurant closing analogy. Third, the four-step shutdown sequence. Fourth, managing state transitions. Fifth, the drain time trade-off. And finally, preventing user-visible failures. Let's get started.
Section 1. The cost of abrupt shutdowns and why terminating is just so risky. To really understand why graceful shutdown is so essential, we first have to establish the danger of the alternative. The stakes of poorly managed service terminations are incredibly high in production environments. You see, when a backend process is killed abruptly, it doesn't just quietly vanish. No, an abrupt kill instantly drops all in-flight requests right on the floor. It leaks resources. It corrupts partially completed work. Imagine your service holds open network connections, locks, file handles, active database sessions, or queue consumers. A hard kill means all of that partially processed data is instantly compromised. You're effectively yanking the power cord on the server, which, is a really fantastic way to guarantee a 3 a.m. pager alert.
Now, this actually brings up a really common engineering interview question. What exactly is the difference between shutting down and crashing? It sounds super simple, right? But the distinction is foundational. A crash is an unplanned, catastrophic failure. Shutting down, however, is a highly controlled exit. A graceful shutdown actively tries to preserve system correctness and protect the user experience by wrapping up all those loose ends before the lights go out.
All right, moving into Section 2. The restaurant closing analogy, a real-world model.
Let's pivot to an intuitive mental model that makes this instantly click. I want you to think of your back-end system like a really busy restaurant. A rude shutdown? That's the equivalent of the manager suddenly killing the main breaker and plunging the entire dining room into darkness while people are literally mid-bite. It's totally chaotic. A graceful shutdown, on the other hand, is a process. First, the hostess stops accepting new customers. Then the kitchen finishes cooking the orders for the tables that are already seated. You serve those diners, allow them to finish their meals and pay, and only then do you clean the kitchen and lock the front door. This is exactly what your backend needs to do when it receives a termination signal.
Section 3. The four-step shutdown sequence. These are the four crucial steps. So how do we translate that restaurant analogy into actual code? Let's look at the technical depth of backend orchestration here. A proper graceful shutdown coordinates four distinct steps. Step 1. Stop intake. You receive a termination signal and you immediately, and I mean immediately, stop accepting new work. Step 2. Drain in-flight work. You wait for active requests or background jobs to finish processing. Step 3. Finalize state. You cleanly close out resources, things like connection pools and telemetry exporters. And Step 4. Exit within a bounded timeout. The absolute golden rule here is sequence. You must always stop accepting new work before you touch your in-flight work or close your dependencies.
So let me pose this technical question to test your understanding of that exact sequence. What actually happens if you get this out of order and those dependencies are closed too early?
Well, if you close your database connections, flush your cache, or shut down your message queue before your work is fully drained, your active requests are going to fail mid-flight. Going back to our analogy, this is like turning off the kitchen stoves while your diners are still waiting for their main course. The requests are still trying to process, but the infrastructure they desperately rely on has just vanished beneath them, leading to inevitable crashes.
Section 4. Managing state transitions, because shutdown is really a life cycle.
Shutdown isn't just a single instantaneous event, It's a highly coordinated protocol. The service actually moves through a series of state transitions. It goes from a running state, handling normal traffic, into a draining state the second it receives a termination signal. This is where it stops taking new requests. Then it moves into a quiescing state, quietly waiting for its background jobs, stream handlers, or open connections to resolve. And finally, once everything is completely clean, it safely transitions to terminated.
Now, that draining phase is the heavy lifter of this entire graceful shutdown protocol. By explicitly blocking new requests but allowing current work to finish, draining prevents data corruption.
This is absolutely critical for stateful or session-heavy systems, where a hard kill could interrupt a live user interaction, corrupt a financial transaction, or just leave a message queue in a completely inconsistent state.
Moving to Section 5, the drain time trade-off and balancing availability.
Of course, in software engineering, nothing comes without a cost, right? A good system design absolutely must include a bounded timeout. This is a hard deadline given to the shutdown controller. Why? Because you cannot let a process hang forever waiting for some straggling, incredibly slow request that's holding your entire deployment hostage. If the in-flight work doesn't finish within this specific window of time, the system must force kill the process. You have to protect the overall cluster from hanging indefinitely during rollouts or routine maintenance.
So the crucial point is balancing that drain time against availability. If your drain window is too short, well, you defeat the whole purpose. You end up dropping requests and losing work anyway. But if it's too long, you block cluster operations, your rolling deployment slow to a crawl, and node maintenance becomes a total nightmare. Also, a quick aside, remember not to over-engineer this. If you're running tiny CLI tools, stateless batch jobs, or highly latency-sensitive processes where a quick restart is actually better than waiting around, building out a complex, graceful shutdown might cause more harm than good.
I really love this quote from our source material because it perfectly captures the engineering mindset you need here. Graceful shutdown is about reducing loss, not guaranteeing perfect completion. We use bounded timeouts because absolute perfection is kind of a myth in distributed systems. Your goal here is practical risk mitigation, minimizing the blast radius, and failing as cleanly as possible when time simply runs out.
Finally, Section 6, preventing user-visible failures. Let's look at real-world applications.
Why does all this back-end orchestration actually matter to the end user and to the stability of the business itself? Well, let's look at the practical side. Graceful shutdown is the invisible magic that enables modern cloud infrastructure. It's used literally anywhere downtime is expensive. During rolling deploys, graceful shutdown lets old instances cleanly drain their traffic while new instances spin up, making the transition completely seamless to the user. When your system is autoscaling down because a massive traffic spike has passed, instances are removed without abruptly dropping active user requests. Honestly, it's the mechanism that makes routine host maintenance and configuration reloads safe rather than absolutely terrifying.
We've covered the mechanics, the state transitions, and the critical trade-offs of stopping cleanly. But I want to leave you with this final, practical question to take back to your own projects. Think about your next deployment. Are your background consumers actually finishing their current unit of work, or are they just crashing and hoping for the best? Take a hard look at your code base. Make sure you aren't leaving your diners in the dark. Thanks for joining me on this explainer.